Welcome back to Too Long to Read, the European Policy Center's video explainer series on key enlargement issues. In our last episode, we explored how candidate countries can gradually participate in EU institutions. Today, we turn to a critical question. What would the EU's enlargement to the Western Balkans actually cost? Let's break it down. First things first, what do we mean by cost of enlargement? An important tangible benefit of EU accession for the Western Balkan countries is their integration into the EU budget. These countries already receive some EU funding through the instrument for pre-accession as candidates and potential candidates for membership. But once they become full members, they'll be eligible for significantly more EU funding across a range of areas: cohesion, agriculture, competitiveness, and more. Thus, when referring to the costs, we're talking about the total budgetary implications of enlargement. That is, all the financial transfers and allocations the EU would need to make if the entire Western Balkan region joined tomorrow. According to our estimates, based on data up until 2020, full enlargement to the Western Balkans would cost the EU 35 billion euros across a 7-year period. Let's put that into perspective. That's around 3% of the EU's current multi-annual financial framework. The figure drops to 2.5% when next-generation EU grants are included, and down to 1.7% if both the revised MFF and full next-gen are accounted for. In practice, the real cost would be even lower, because new member states are legally obliged to contribute to the EU budget. In that case, the cost would be 26 billion euros across a 7-year period. The burden is, in that case, reduced to 2.5% of the MFF. The figure drops to 1.8% with next-gen grants and as low as 1.3% with the revised MFF and full next-gen. If we break the total cost down to an annual per capita basis, the enlargement of the entire Western Balkans would cost around 5.8 euros per EU citizen per year. Expressed as the average share of member states' gross national income, that's just 0.02%. To put it more descriptively, the cost would amount to less than 2 cappuccinos per EU citizen per year, given that the average price of a cappuccino in the EU is 3.03 euros. Let's take a closer look via an illustrative example. The most expensive cappuccino in Europe can be found in Denmark at 5.5 euros, while estimates suggest Denmark's annual share of the enlargement cost would be around 9.3 euros. On the other hand, one of the cheapest cappuccinos is in Hungary at just 2 euros, and its share of the enlargement cost would be 2.5 euros. In both cases, the price citizens would need to pay is less than 2 cups of coffee. Moreover, since a Big Bang enlargement is not expected, due to the varying levels of preparedness among Western Balkan countries, the actual cost of enlargement would likely be even lower than projected. Under the regatta principle, countries will join individually as they meet the criteria. This staggered approach means costs will be spread over time, significantly reducing the short-term financial impact. If only Montenegro, perhaps with Albania, joins first, the realistic initial cost per EU citizen would be comparable to the price of an espresso. While the headline of this video talks about the cost of enlargement, we shouldn't forget about the other side of the coin: investment. Enlargement to the Western Balkans is not charity. It's a strategic investment in regional and European stability and security, EU competitiveness, and the EU's geopolitical ambitions. Western Balkan membership wouldn't just come with costs. It would also bring budget contributions, more trade, investment opportunities, and tourism. On top of that, there are major geopolitical and security benefits. All of this makes the cost not only manageable, but likely outweighed by the long-term returns. So, what's the bottom line? There's no doubt that the EU can afford to enlarge to the Western Balkans. a region whose combined GDP is comparable to that of a single small member state like Slovakia. But this isn't just about numbers. It's about renewing the vision of what the EU stands for and what it can become through enlargement. In the end, the real question isn't whether the EU can afford to enlarge. It's whether it can afford the cost of waiting any longer. Thanks for watching. This was Too Long to Read, your shortcut to understanding EU enlargement. See you in the next episode.